October 31st, a red-eye flight left Chicago O'Hare bound for Los Angeles, carrying 146 passengers and 6 crew members. The weather was clear, the plane newly serviced, and the captain, a veteran with over 20,000 flight hours, had flown this route hundreds of times before. At 35,000 feet, everything changed. Around 2 hours into the flight, passengers near the rear cabin began to smell something burning. Not smoke, more like hot metal and old wires. A flight attendant checked the galley, then the restroom, but found nothing. When she reported it to the cockpit, the captain glanced at the instruments. All systems were normal. Minutes later, the cabin lights flickered. Not off, not on, just a slow, uneven pulse, like a heartbeat. A man in seat 33B pressed the call button, saying the screen on the seat in front of him had turned black. Then another passenger screamed. Her display wasn't just off. It showed a live camera feed of the aisle behind her, even though the entertainment system wasn't equipped with cameras. The screen zoomed in. Something tall and dark stood near the rear emergency exit, its shape distorted, head bent at an impossible angle. Then the screen went dead. The smell grew stronger. The captain contacted air traffic control, but the radio answered with static and a voice that wasn't human. It sounded like someone speaking through water, slowly repeating the flight number. 191. The co-pilot tried the backup radio. Same voice, same words. In the cabin, a child began crying, pointing toward the back. Several passengers turned and froze. The aisle seemed longer than it should have been, stretching into darkness. The rear lavatory door was open, but inside wasn't a bathroom anymore. It looked like the inside of a burned house, blackened walls, melted fixtures, and names carved into the metal, hundreds of them, passenger names, every person on the plane, including those who hadn't boarded yet. The flight attendant ran forward, shaking, and collapsed near the cockpit. She whispered that this plane had crashed before. Same tail number, same route, 37 years ago. Everyone on board had died in a mid-air fire. The aircraft had been rebuilt using salvage parts. The captain checked the maintenance logs. There was a gap, 1 entire year missing from the records. Suddenly the altitude dropped by 1,000 feet. No alarms, no warning, just a smooth, deliberate descent. Passengers felt pressure on their chests as if something heavy was sitting on the plane. The overhead bins rattled. The lights went out completely. In the darkness, footsteps echoed, slow, wet footsteps moving up the aisle. People screamed as hands, burned, blistered, still smoldering, reached out from the shadows, gripping armrests, hair, skin. Anyone touched went silent instantly, their eyes clouding over like smoke-filled glass. The cockpit door banged once, then again. The captain shouted, trying to pull up, but the controls were stiff, as if someone else was holding them. A voice filled the cabin, not through speakers, but inside everyone's head. We didn't land, neither will you. At 12,000 feet, the co-pilot did the unthinkable. He cut the power, the engines died. Silence, the footsteps stopped, the pressure lifted, the plane dropped violently, but the systems rebooted. Lights snapped back on. The aisle was normal. The lavatory was a lavatory. The smell was gone. Air traffic control came through clearly. They made an emergency landing in Denver. No fire damage, no system failure. But 6 seats in the back row were empty. No one remembered those passengers boarding. Their names weren't on the manifest, except in the maintenance logs, under a note written decades ago in shaky handwriting. Do not reuse salvage parts. Some fires never go out. On June 12th, Flight 247 departed from Seattle to Anchorage, a late-night trip over the North Pacific. The plane was half full, mostly business travelers and a few families. Weather reports showed light turbulence, nothing unusual. Exactly 47 minutes after takeoff, the cockpit clock stopped. Not slowed, stopped. The captain tapped the glass. The second hand didn't move. Every digital display still showed normal flight data, except the time, frozen at 11:41 p.m. A flight attendant reported something stranger. A passenger in seat 19A was asking to get off the plane, mid-air. She said he kept repeating the same sentence, "This isn't my flight." When the attendant reached the seat, it was empty. No bag, no jacket, just a cold indentation in the cushion, like someone had been sitting there for hours. Then the seatbelt sign turned on by itself. One by one, overhead screens lit up, not with movies, but with passport photos, dozens of them, men, women, children. Some were black and white, some were burned at the edges. Every photo had the same boarding pass attached. Flight 247, date June 12, 1983. The co-pilot searched the database. That flight number had crashed into the ocean 40 years earlier. Wreckage was never fully recovered. In the cabin, a man stood up screaming. He pointed toward the wing. "There are people out there." Passengers looked through the windows and saw hands pressing against the glass from outside the plane, faces swollen, pale, mouths open as if screaming underwater. They weren't being pulled away by the wind, they were walking along the wing. The cabin temperature dropped sharply, breath turned white, frost crept across the windows in spiderweb patterns. The intercom clicked on. A woman's voice spoke calmly. "Passengers from 1983, please return to your seats. We are preparing for landing." Several people in the cabin suddenly stood up at once. Their movements were stiff, mechanical. When others tried to stop them, their skin felt icy, like touching something that had been dead for a long time. They walked toward the back of the plane, toward a door that didn't exist before. Where the rear galley should have been, there was now a curved metal hatch, rimmed with frost, pulsing faintly blue, like deep ocean light. One man turned back briefly. His eyes were completely white. "This flight never arrived," he said. "We're still descending." The captain attempted a mayday call. Static answered, then the same calm woman's voice. "Altitude is irrelevant." The plane shook violently. Oxygen masks fell. Through the windows, the ocean wasn't below anymore. It was above. Dark water pressed against the sky. The co-pilot, hands shaking, reset the flight number in the system, changing 247 to 248. The moment he entered it, the hatch vanished. The frozen passengers collapsed where they stood, unconscious but breathing. The clock jumped forward, 11:42 p.m. The plane landed safely in Anchorage. No damage, no missing passengers. But when the plane was cleaned, maintenance found something wedged beneath seat 19A. A waterlogged boarding pass, name unknown flight 247, seat 19A, stamped in faded blue ink, returning